got a river for a soul, and baby you're a boat, baby you're my only reason. If I didn't have you, there would be nothing left, the shell of a man that could never be his best. If I didn't have you, would never see the sun. You taught me how to be someone, yeah. All my life you stood by me when no one else was ever behind me. All these lights, they can't blind me. With
All right, I think we're going to get started. I have to say, I am so impressed and so excited to see all of you guys here. I've been telling a couple of the staff we've been working with that we go to a lot of college campuses and we get to visit a lot of great schools, but I have been blown away just by the students that we've met, the resources that we've seen, your campus, and to see all of you guys here. Wanting to learn about PlayStation, about our internship program, about some of our job opportunities, just makes us feel really, really good and really excited to tell you guys a little bit about us. So thank you for taking the time out of your evening. I know you guys have crazy busy schedules. When they told me that you're on a year-round schedule, you have classes until 1 or 2 a.m., I didn't realize that kind of school existed. So the fact that you're taking, these 2 hours out of your day to come and spend with us, I hope you find it very worthwhile. You should have all gotten a raffle ticket when you came in. So at the end of the presentation, we will be raffling off a PS4, and we will literally just give that to you. So if you are the lucky winner, you will be taking one home, and if you already have it, you can give it to a friend, you can keep it as a gift, whatever you want to do with it, but we are leaving it for you guys. So that's just a little bit of that incentive. You can sell it. You can do whatever you want with it. And just make sure on the way out as well, if you want to drop a resume, you are more than welcome. We will collect them and then just pick up. We have our PlayStation Power Chargers, which are just a little swag to say thank you guys for coming. So without further ado, I will jump right into it. I want to introduce myself first. My name is Rebecca Bjorkland. I am one of our university recruiters. So myself and Catherine LaRue, we help run our summer intern program, and that is what I predominantly am here to talk about. I'm going to go over a little bit about Sony, about PlayStation, and then I'm going to hand it over to one of my colleagues, Mike, and he's going to talk to you a lot more about his experience here and go into some of the details you guys are probably a lot more interested in terms of what he does day to day, and then what we're looking for in our candidates. And if you're interested in working with PlayStation, how can you make yourself stand out in that whole process? And then we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. So hopefully you can save all your questions till the end, but if something is really important and jumps out and you have to ask it, feel free to raise your hand, but otherwise we'll definitely be taking time at the end for Q&A. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term SIE, if you guys ever hear it. We are officially called Sony Interactive Entertainment. So we merged, I believe it was April of 2016. I think to external people and to most people in the public, we were always kind of one company. We were always PlayStation. But internally, we actually were fairly separate. So we had the studio side, which is really developing the games and more the game development. And then we had the PlayStation Network side, so the platform side, a lot more of our programmers, everything you guys see, if you're live streaming, PS View, anything that kind of goes on more on the network side. So we were always recruiting differently, had different offices, and we officially merged in April of 2016, and we are now Sony Interactive Entertainment. So you will probably hear me say that a lot. You'll see that a lot. We refer to ourselves, as PlayStation, but if you guys see this out there, SIE is what we officially now become, and it makes a lot more sense because we all work together. So we want to make sure we're as cohesive as possible internally as well as externally. So we are a subsidiary of Sony. So when people ask me who I work for, I can say Sony. I typically say PlayStation, and people know that brand and know that name really well. But Sony is a very large company, as you guys probably know. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a brief overview of some of the other areas within Sony, because we do have some overlap at times. For example, we did a Sony Pictures tour when we took all of our interns to E3, just so that we could expose them a little bit to, what are some of the other things that our colleagues are doing, what are some of the ways that we might be partnering with them. And again, we all are part of Sony, so we all want to support each other in the work that we do. So Sony Pictures Television, as you guys you see Sony's name all over the place when it comes to movies. Superman, the new Jumanji that's coming out. Mike will speak a little bit more to some of that, but we do have our area of Sony Pictures. Sony Electronics, so I actually am in our San Diego office, and we share a building with Sony Electronics. And when most people think of Sony, I think they think of Sony TVs, tablets, maybe phones, electronics, but that's a big piece of what a lot of our history is, so we have that area. Sony Music, of course, is really big, so we have a lot of big names under there, and that's someone that we partner with closely. And then SIE, so again, Sony Interactive Entertainment, and Gaikai is in Aliso Viejo, so that's one of our studios, and we officially merged with them as well. Quick video for you guys. So that was just a little bit of a teaser of the PlayStation sign that you saw. We're headquartered in San Mateo, which is in Northern California, and that's where a good majority of a lot of our interns sit. And that was our intern class from, I believe, 2 years ago. And I'll get a lot more into that, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys a little bit of a sense of what that looks like and kind of some of the fun stuff that they get to do, because we'll go into talking a little bit more in detail about what that summer program looks like. SIE around the world. So we are responsible for the PlayStation brand and our family of products and services. So the PlayStation name hopefully is pretty well known right now, but that's something that we're constantly promoting and wanting to make sure that we get out there and are responsible for everything that comes underneath that. The very first PlayStation, I don't know how old many of you guys are. If you had this, the P1, it was launched in Japan, 1990, for show of hands. Anybody? Okay, good. Nice. I like to see that. You know, sometimes people come to me and they're like, I only know a PS3. So we have a lot more history than that. So it was launched in Japan in 1994, but we did move our headquarters, like I said, to San Mateo fairly recently, and I think that was a big for PlayStation to really feel like it has kind of its own foundation. And the majority of our offices are in California. So we have 7 locations on the West Coast. I'll get into that in a little bit. So overseas worldwide studios. We do have 16 studios worldwide. So we have our own, which, you know, we run our own games. So you guys are probably familiar. Our Santa Monica studio does God of War, and down in Sorrento Valley, we do MLB The Show. But we also have a host of other studios and partner with them to create a lot of amazing games. And that's about 2,700, probably about 3,000 employees, but PlayStation itself is quite a lot larger than that. So we've been growing rapidly over the last couple of years and doing very, very well as one of Sony's kind of biggest conglomerates. So we're really excited to continue to grow and hopefully continue to open up new spaces. Our regional headquarters for Sony are in London and Tokyo, so you guys may be more familiar with that in terms of Sony. A lot of our hardware comes out of our Tokyo office, and we do have locations really all around the world, so it just depends on what some of those different locations are doing. But predominantly, again, for PlayStation and especially for our intern program, we are run out of California. So I put up a couple of locations up here. We will be recruiting about 115 interns for the summer. So we bring in a pretty large group, and you guys are spread throughout all of our West Coast offices. We do have 2 positions in Madison, Wisconsin. So if there's anyone that is dying to go to Wisconsin or just is from there, really wants to be there, we do have an office there. And we just, for the first time this year, opened up a position, one in Austin, Texas, and one in Toronto in Canada. So if those are areas you guys are interested in, maybe places you're from, definitely take a look at some of those. But as I mentioned, majority of them are going to be in Northern and Southern California. We have anywhere from 15 to 35 in each of those different locations. And so I'll go in a little bit later into detail there, but there is a lot of variety. Just depends on what kind of work you want to be doing. And each of the offices focuses in a little bit of a different area. And I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Mike.
This thing, do I just hit the, oh, wow. Thank you all. Wow, that is crazy to hear me talk. This is very rock and roll, y'all. This is crazy. Last time I was here was in the auditorium. I think this is my 3rd or 4th trip to Full Sail. And this is honestly my favorite school to come visit. And it is not a lie, I love this school. You guys are very, very lucky you chose the right place. It's an incredible program they have, and I'm always amazed how fast they put new initiatives in place. We just launched VR a year ago, and you guys already have a program. That amazes me. So I'm Mike. I run the visual arts group out of San Diego. So we're a central service team within Worldwide Studios, like Rebecca mentioned. It's about 150 people, artists, technical artists, producers. And our primary objective is to help Worldwide Studios make the best award-winning, genre-defining titles for Sony PlayStations. How many game fans do we have in the audience? Any gamers? Just a couple? Awesome. How many PlayStation fans? I assume everybody, if you came, you're a Microsoft guy, you probably didn't come. So what does that mean, the visual arts? What does that mean in relation to the rest of the game development process? Well, so you saw the overarching sort of Sony structure that Rebecca showed you. I've been with PlayStation for about 10 years, and 5 years before that, I was with Sony Pictures ImageWorks. So what I built down in San Diego is sort of like a little bit of a mini ImageWorks for PlayStation. So we are the cinematics guys and the art guys and the R&D on the character and the technical when it comes to art and animation. So we have a mocap facility. We actually have 3, 2 in Los Angeles and 1 in San Diego. And we basically make, our stuff for these platforms. These are the places you'll see our stuff. And these are the guys we work with. You'll see a lot of our work on Naughty Dog titles. Anybody play Naughty Dog games? What's your favorite Naughty Dog game? All right, I like this crowd. This is a good crowd. Yes, that's one of my favorite too. So I'm going to show you a little bit so we're going to talk about a couple of those games, tell you how we make them. But these are our partners, most of them. And these are the games that we touch, we help make. Hopefully you played some of these things. So I'm going to give you behind the scenes with one of my favorite guys. This is my building in San Diego. You know that guy? Anybody know that guy? He made a little game called Metal Gear. You probably heard of that one. So I'm going to throw a couple quotes up in here, just maybe 2. This is one of my favorite, and this sort of speaks to me and speaks to the kind of the point of our group. Quality is never an accident. It's always the result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, and skillful execution. It represents the wise choice of many alternatives. I think this should speak to you guys too, because you picked a wise choice in picking this school, and what you're learning here is how to take what you learn here and apply it to these things that you'll do moving forward. And it is absolutely critical to do your best and focus on the highest possible execution to define yourself so that you can break in and get a job in the industry. So I'm going to talk about The Last of Us for a minute. When you think of video games, what emotions most can connect with you? What comes to mind? Throw out some emotions that... What's that? How about anger? How about anger like when Destiny, when you get shot and you want to throw the controller? Or, that? Mostly it's probably love and anger, right? What's that? Dark Souls. Yeah, so for me, one of the ones I love, there was actually this, you guys have an empathy, what is it, like a, what is that room that has all this stuff and you connect with this and they pick something and it's empathy. Do you know what I'm talking about? No? So it was talking about art and you represent through that. For me, empathy is one of the biggest challenges in games. How do you relate to characters and how do they touch you in a way? How do the games mean something? That's a kind of a thing that PlayStation does really well and why I love being there. Games like Journey, right? Flower. I mean, these are kind of incredible experiences that basically are not, they're unique experiences. To me, this is a unique experience too with The Last of Us. I have I'm going to show you a cinematic that you probably have seen it if you've played the game, and if you haven't, I'm going to ruin it for you, but it's right at the beginning of the game, so it shouldn't be that bad. So if you know what it is, I'm going to start by bringing y'all down, and I'll raise you up after. Let's watch it. Do we have sound? Do we have sound? Please? Yeah, there we go. Turn it up if we can.
Please don't. Oh, no. Sarah. Move your hands, baby. I know, baby, I know. Listen to me, I know this hurts. You're gonna be okay, baby. Stay with me. All right, I'm gonna pick you up. I know, baby, I know it hurts. Come on, baby, please. I know, baby, I know. Sarah. Baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Don't do this to me, baby. Come on. No. No. No, no. Please. Please don't. Please.
So I'm sorry to bum you all. That sucks. I hate watching that thing. I really do. I really, really do hate watching that. I have a little girl. I have 2 little girls, and the first time I watched that, it brought me to tears. The reality is that we made that cinematic, so that's the stuff that we do. So we made Joel down in San Diego, and my crew works with Neil, and we animate those cinematics. So that was done. We're working on The Last of Us Part 2. You probably heard of that one too. But what is amazing to me about this in this sense is that this is not even the best visual fidelity, because this is 5 years old now, but it's really hits you in the gut how emotionally gut-wrenching it is to see Joel lose his daughter there. And how far we've come. You know, I'm old at this point in the game industry, and old as a person compared to y'all, but when I started, they were all, it was all pixel stuff. And what amazes me is how much we can connect now because of all of this skillful execution and all the tools and all the talent that we have. And I wondered, is it just that this scene in itself actually brings empathy because it's the fact that you have Joel and he's losing his daughter? And, what if we played this on the Super Nintendo 20 years ago? Would it look the same? I don't know that it would. But I was curious, and I think that this is a change. We're in a really phenomenal time because there's so much possibility in gaming. And I wanted to see what it would look like, though, so we did it. Me too. It's cool, but it doesn't hit you in the gut the same way, right? Not the same. That's what Hideo would have done 25 years ago, guaranteed. Realistically, though, it really is difficult. It's really difficult to make relatable characters and to honestly feel empathy for a video game. And, so to do that, when we talk about skillful execution, it's relatable characters, and it's casting, and it's direction, and it's writing. It doesn't sound like we're talking about games, right? It sounds like we're talking about film or television, doesn't it? It doesn't really feel like we're talking about video games because it's a change. But the reality is our industry is so technology-driven, it requires so much new technology to be able to make things that you can relate to, that look real enough to be able to relate to, and that's really, really difficult. And you have to have strong collaborative partnerships, internally with the talent and the actors, and with Naughty Dog and the sound people and the music people, and that whole thing comes together, and you have something that's pretty magical. So I'm going to show you a little bit how we do that. we start with the scan thing. You saw Hideo Kojima come down there, and we do that with almost all of our characters now. We start by scanning an actor, and we take them, regardless of who it is we scan. We try to scan for likeness if we can. If not, what we try to do is we find somebody that basically looks similar to our target. In this case, Nathan Drake. So we got this actor, Tyler Wood. He was really not the actor that plays in the game. He's not in the game at all. It's really just for his facial likeness and his expressions. And we basically scan Tyler for about a day, and we do a full day's worth of scanning, and we make a facial rig that encompasses about 900 blend shapes. You know what blend shapes are, right? Character shapes. So in each shape of the face that can do, they're kind of micro expressions. When I worked on Beowulf, the lead character, had 60 blend shapes. So this is the kind of fidelity we can get out of this rig. And what's amazing about it is it's running in real time on the PS4. And you guys have seen this if you've played the game. But the fidelity is astonishing. And it's this kind of fidelity that allows us to honestly open up the possibility of hitting emotions like empathy, which is an incredibly difficult thing to feel for a digital character. So once we build the characters, and once we have the scripts and the environments and all that stuff, we come out and we come with the actors and we go to the mocap stage and we shoot performance capture. Performance capture, capturing the body, the face, and the voice all together. And then we put those things into a scene, right, on the digital set. Do we have audio on these or no? It may not be, but if you can just kick it up just in case. There you go.
It's probably too long and full of typos. But
so this is a scene from Uncharted 4.
Starving.
And I remember when I first saw this scene, I'm like, what the hell? This is an old Drake and an old Elena in their living room. Who the hell wants to watch that?
None of that.
It turns out I did. I just didn't know it. When I'm playing the game, I'm like, this is
It
amazing.
was fine.
Realistically, we're
Typical
going
day in
through
paradise.
and doing stuff we have never done before.
got
We're
to
spending
pull a bunch of
time with these
garbage out of the
characters in
river.
places we've never spent with them. They're becoming real
At least
life
you got
to
to go
us.
for a swim.
And it's allowing us to explore
any
even
exciting
deeper
garbage?
relationships and even deeper stories. And then we go into animation. After we take this through the facial pipeline, which is captured, we add a little more expressiveness.
I'm in
Make sure they feel
here
alive.
being stabbed with a fork.
Oh, really?
What? Just keep going. It was interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. What's my article about?
Yeah, if you know. And then we put it all into the game engine, we light it, and we put effects. And ultimately
Look,
ended up
Nate,
looking
I
like
really
this
think that
in
you
real
should
time on the
take it.
PlayStation 4, right?
You know what? I don't want it. Really. I mean, he doesn't have the permits. And we agreed we're not going to take that kind of work anymore. It's
Okay,
just
but
not worth it.
It doesn't sound that risky. All right? If it's just a permit.
No way.
So what's incredible to me is that this was the last time we saw Nathan Drake on PS3, right? And in one generation, we are there. And then what happens next? This is a constant evolution of talent and technology and artistry and so much of the stuff that you guys bring to the table. And we need more of this because we're constantly innovating. We're constantly pushing the ceiling of what's possible. So these are the kinds of roles that we hire within my department. This is not necessarily the kind of roles that we hire in PlayStation. We hire pretty much everything. But in my group, these are the kinds of roles you'll see. So it looks a lot kind of like more like a film production than it does a game production, and that is by design. So what do we look for in prospective talent? Passion. That's the number one thing for me. I want somebody that loves what they do every day because we spend a lot of time doing it. You spend as much time doing this as you do anything else in your life. So I want people that are really engaged and are willing to work hard and willing to learn. I want video game fans, right? Yeah. We want people that know what the kinds of stuff we're making, and it certainly doesn't hurt if you're playing it. We want an attention for detail. We want to have, we want artists, but we want people that are really, what we're doing is so detail-oriented. It gets down to the nitty-gritty. The devil is in the details for real. It really is. And the thing is, it gets harder and harder. So we need specialists. We need people that are basically engaging in these areas of rigging or 3D modeling or animation that basically are really critical of their work. We want talent. Of course we want talent, right? That's a gimme. But you'll notice it's not on the top because talent comes with time. Some people are gifted out the gate, but typically it takes effort, honestly. Most of this is effort. Most of this is time and effort. So if you put the time and effort in, you're going to get the talent. But we want forward thinkers and innovators. We want people that are honestly looking at the areas that we're not looking at. Exploring what's happening in all the spaces, technology, gaming. We want ideas. We want to stay relevant. We want problem solvers. It's great for you to bring me a problem, but it's better if you solve it. It's better if you bring me a problem and you say, you know what, here's how I would solve this problem. That's very helpful. So be a problem solver. Don't be a problem. Be self-motivated. This is also really, really, really important. And you guys are learning this, at Full Sail, right? Like, you have to do your work. You have to be accountable for your work. And you're going to have to be accountable to the people working your game teams. And in games, you're going to be accountable to the people in your department. You'll be accountable to the people in the next department, and so on. And have a positive attitude. I can't tell you how important that is. Realistically, we want people that we want to spend time with and we want to work with, right? And so be encouraging. Good communicators. This is hard. It is hard because communication is honestly one of the number one issues in any production. Do you guys experience that in your stuff? Any challenges in communication? Yeah, it's tough. Learn better communication, right? Learn how to communicate your ideas in a concise way. Learn how to do email. Learn how to, be an effective communicator. Get some books on that. It's good. And a strong desire to succeed, right? But a willingness to fail. It's okay to fail. You have to fail. If you don't fail, you're not going to learn anything. The key is, on those failures, learn something and don't repeat the same failure, right? We fail every day. There is stuff going wrong every day. Right now, literally on the back. It's all the time. The hope is that we don't get ourselves in a circle of failure. So the goal is to, try new things. If it doesn't work, that's okay. See if there's anything you can basically pull from that. Move on, move forward. So how do you get noticed? How do you get it noticed in the industry, at PlayStation, at Microsoft, at Nintendo, whoever it is you want to work for? This was not put together by me, but one of my colleagues who came from Full Sail. And so it's really important you look at this because he put it together, because he was here, a student, and he is reviewing reels. He runs the animation team, and he's reviewing reels. So this is his feedback, right? So I'm not going to go through all these, but I would say the bottom one is absolutely true. Stay in contact with your classmates. You have no idea where any of the people here in this room will end up 5-10 years from now. Stay in touch with your classmates. He says what not to do. Don't undersell yourself. Stay confident. That's true, but don't be arrogant. Nobody likes that. So be confident and know your ability. And on top of everything else, and I'm almost done here, learn about the industry. Get educated about it. Go to YouTube, go to the web, do whatever. Find out about how we make these things. Be interested, be engaging, right? And play our games. If you want to work at PlayStation, if you've never played one of our games, that might be a tough prospect because they will ask you that. And it's not that they won't hire you if you haven't played our games, but I can tell you what, that they do want people, we do. We want people that understand our objective. So I tell you, empathy is a part of my objective. So I want people on my team that understand what it is our challenges are and what we're trying to do, right? We want to drive the emotional intent of our games. We want to go to places that people don't expect us to go. So I want people to understand that that's our objective. and be creative and technical. It is a technical field. It really is. So if there is any time for you on your downtime, which I know in the next, I don't know what year you are, if you guys are in the end, I know that's not a lot, but learn some technical skills. If you're in programming classes, it's fantastic. And you don't have to be C++ programmer, but it does help, no matter what you're doing, to have some understanding. Learn effective communication. I said that before. Be a team player. Be a team player. That's it. Be a team player. There are very few single-player game developers. You got to work with others. You might have to work with hundreds of others. Be critical of your work. It's really important you are critical of your own work. It really is. And be okay taking criticism from other people. Be okay with that. You will have to, moving forward. At ImageWorks, I had to go through a process called dailies. I don't know if you guys do that. All these guys are all experts, and you sit in a room with 30 or 40 people, and they destroy your work in front of you. And you guys do that in your critiques and stuff, and it really does happen, and you have to get okay with that. It's really important that you don't take it personally, because they're giving you constructive feedback on your work so that you can take that feedback, and then you can put that into something that will solve it. Network like crazy, like the stay in touch with your classmates. If you get into the industry, you get that first job, make sure you stay in touch with all those people. Everybody moves around, and so you never know. One of the studios that you might be at a studio that doesn't seem like it has any chance of connecting to Naughty Dog in any way. But that's just not true. You'd be surprised. 10, 15 years in the industry, you'll find that people are everywhere. So you want to make sure you stay connected to those people. Super important. Last quote, and then I'm out. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one persists in trying to adapt the world to himself. Therefore, all progress depends on the unreasonable man. Be unreasonable, my friends, and I'll see you out there, okay?
Can you guys hear me? Okay. So I'm going to leave that up there for a second, because if you were paying attention, he said network. He said, stay in touch with your peers, stay in touch with your classmates, stay in touch with him. I said you're a very brave man for putting your email up there. But he said if these students are smart enough to take advantage of it, then, he's happy to do what he can. Because we are here because we know you guys are talented. We know you're at Full Sail for a reason. And we want to make sure we're making it worth your while, and same for us. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about our summer program, why we think you guys should be interested in coming to PlayStation. Some of it he touched upon, so I won't try to double up on that too much, but I just want to emphasize some of the things that I think are really worthwhile. This probably goes over a little better at some other schools because you guys have some pretty cool technology. So I won't say that we don't have things you guys have maybe never seen before, but we are always trying to stay on the new edge of technology. So as he mentioned before, we want to bring in people that are innovative, that are thinking about new things. We don't want to just recreate the same games that are already out there. So if you talk to some of our senior vice presidents, they're going to tell you, even if they know a game might make a ton of money, if it's not something new, if it's not challenging the industry in a new way, they'd rather take a risk and try something else. So they're always really out there to try to make sure that we are using the best technology. State-of-the-art facilities. We have some amazing studios. We're constantly growing, wanting to try to bring in the newest talent and helping them make sure that they're using the facilities that can create the best games out there. No dress code, so I wear this to work. I come from actually a background more in management consulting and aerospace. So I wore a suit or some version of a suit to work for a long time. And when I showed up to my interview, I already knew that I probably wasn't going to be in that same kind of environment, but my boss really said to me, you really should dress down. Like, you really need to wear jeans or wear whatever you're comfortable in, but don't feel like this is a place where you have to put on a show every day. We want you to be comfortable, and that's just the environment that we're in. So I happen to be in our San Diego office. It's a very laid-back environment. We do have stereotypically a lot of people that are surfers. So they're up in the morning and out in the water, and they're coming into work at 9 or 10, and people are comfortable. So they take their work very seriously and they love what they do, but they also don't take themselves too seriously. And for me, that was a brand new kind of work environment, and I can without a doubt tell you it's the most fun I've had at work, and I appreciate that. Rich legacy of games. So hopefully that's not something we have to tell you guys too much about. But as Mike said, we're proud of the games that we make, and if you want to work with us, you should probably know a little bit about them. So I have many hiring managers that ask me to include in their job descriptions, tell the candidates to tell me what are their favorite games, what games are they playing right now. And maybe they're not all ours, and that's absolutely fine, but we just want to know that you know what's going on out there, but we are really proud of the games and the legacy that we have with that. And varied work. We are not going to bring you in to do the same kind of work every day. So there are a lot of jobs out there and probably a lot of internship programs where you come in and you're sitting behind a desk and you are really working on the same thing day in and day out. You're going to be doing different kinds of work all the time. Your projects are going to change. The teams that you're working with are going to change. And we want to keep you challenged because we know if you're not, that means you're probably not going to stay with us long term. And we're bringing you in for a reason, and we want to keep you there. And training and development opportunities are huge for us. So again, as you guys know, you're in school right now. Technology is constantly changing. New things are coming out, and we want to make sure that we're on top of that, because if not, that means we're falling behind, and we're falling behind to our competitors. So I'm going to get a little bit more into the internship program itself. And I guess I should start by saying eligibility. I know when I talk about internships, a lot of you might be thinking, you're looking for more full-time roles. So for PlayStation, traditionally, we don't recruit a lot of recent graduates into our full-time roles. There are those opportunities, and some of those do exist, and some of those are out there right now. But for the most part, most of our early talent starts in our internship program, and then we convert them to full-time, or we convert them to contract. So for us, you're eligible if you're a currently enrolled student or if you graduated within the last 12 months. So for example, this upcoming class right now that we're recruiting, if you graduated in June of 2017 or May, you're still eligible to apply. So for us, we really, really try to get you, as early as we can. And for you guys, if that means right after you graduate, I want to say our conversion rate this year for those high performers at the end of the summer that were eligible to stay on with us full time, it was almost 70%. So we really, if we like you and you like us and you want to stay at the end of the summer, we are going to do what we can to try to keep you on. So a little bit about the internship. It is a paid internship, so I know there's a lot of industries out there that are able to, to do the non-paid. We believe you guys are really a full-time employee when you're with us, and we want to make sure that you're compensated accordingly. So it's very competitive with the market, depending on, where you are. It's going to change a little bit based on location, but very competitive for the summer. Relocation, which for you guys would all be applicable because you'd all be coming out at least, beyond the 50-mile mark. So we do help you with that relocation stipend. And it is a full 12-week program. So you are 40 hours plus a week from the day that you start with us, so either end of May or beginning of June, all the way through August and September. And while you're there, you are just, as I mentioned, a full-time employee of PlayStation as well as a member of the cohort class. So we'll talk a little bit about what that looks like. I mentioned this earlier, eligible candidates. So for you guys, again, anyone recently or currently in school, and then within the last 12 months of graduation. So what types of internships do we have? I mentioned earlier, 115 is what we're recruiting for right now. So this doesn't even cover all of them, but I'm hoping that something up here is catching your attention. So, I know you guys come from a lot of different disciplines and probably have a lot of different things you want to focus on. No two internships for us are the same. Well, I should say there might be 3 or 4 hiring managers that are hiring for 2 interns, but for the most part, we're working with about 100 different hiring managers, and each of them are writing their own job description, doing their own interview process, and looking for their own unique intern. And so that's when we say the work that you're doing is very unique because you are fully integrated into their team. You're not a part of a separate intern program where all the interns are doing the same kind of thing. These hiring managers are looking for someone that ultimately they think might be able to stay on with them full time, and that is really going to be able to hit the ground running and really contribute to the work that their team is doing that summer. So this is just an example of the ones that we have. If you guys go on our website, and we'll put that up at the end, we should have almost all of them posted. If not, they will be up by the end of October, and there will be 115 positions on there. So hopefully you're finding at least a couple of them that are interesting to you. So again, kind of what makes up the foundation of our internship program. So I say it, over and over, it's really about real world experience. We want you guys to know what it's like to actually be a full-time employee of PlayStation. It's not us whining and dining you for 12 weeks and giving you a really unrealistic view of what it would look like. We really want you to be on the team. We want you to be doing work that's going to be put out there in live time potentially. We've had interns whose names have been on the credits of shows, who have, continued to stay on that same team and really been able to contribute long-term to the work that they're producing. So very much on the team, doing the day-to-day work that they're doing, while at the same time we realize that you are coming in as a new graduate or as an intern, and so we want to make sure you're getting that mentorship experience. So you are going to have your own buddy, you're going to have a mentor, and you're going to have your manager that you're reporting to. So we do, beginning of the summer, you sit down and you talk about what is it that you want to get out of this internship? What are the goals that you want to reach? What is it you hope to gain? And how is it that you're going to get there? What are those objectives going to look like for you? And then throughout the summer, we hope you're meeting with your manager every week, every other week, but that you're getting that feedback so that when your end evaluation comes, you shouldn't be surprised. You should know, okay, I think things were going really well. We talked about maybe a full-time offer. We talked about maybe me coming back on contract. So we don't want this to be a surprise at the end. We really want to make sure that you're aware of the progress that you're making and how you're doing. And if you're not going in the direction they're hoping, then how can we fix that? How can we make sure that we course correct that so that you are able to get the most out of those 12 weeks that you're there? We do something at the end called a showcase. And so we go to all 7 or 8 or 9 locations, and every single intern does a 5-minute presentation on what they did over the summer. So some of them do demo reels, some of them, the programmers might show us a little bit about kind of the sample codes that they've worked with. Some of them can't talk about what they've done. So in our San Mateo studios, that's a lot of our untitled releases that they are not really at liberty to talk about kind of the day-to-day work, so they give us a little bit more of an overview of the kinds of things that they're doing. But it's really interesting because you are each working on your own team, so you're not working with the other interns on a day-to-day basis, and oftentimes you don't know what they're doing. So at the end, it's really cool to get all the interns, all your managers, your teams, the senior vice presidents together. And I will tell you, our SVPs actually come and sit and take notes on all of these. And a lot of times afterwards, they will come up and spend 5 minutes talking to you about, feedback that they have for you or really cool things that they think you're doing. And they come to us afterwards and they'll follow up and say, make sure that intern gets an offer. We really want to make sure he or she comes back. So our leadership is really, really invested in the intern program, and they always want to see new talent coming in, and that's one of the reasons that they continue to grow this program. So every year we've continued to see it grow, and we're hoping that will continue in the future. And then, of course, we always have the special events and perks, so people ask us about that all the time. We do take all of our interns to E3, which is really fun as long as you start with us. In our May time period, we do a 3-day trip to LA. We do a Sony Pictures tour, do a scavenger hunt. We really want you guys to also have fun. I mean, we do realize this is a time for you to be working, but also a time for you to get to know each other and, network and make those connections, but also hopefully make potentially lifelong, peers and friends. And then things, we do get a discount on a lot of cool products. You get access to the family store. So just things like that you want to keep in mind. You get full access to that while you're there. So a little bit about the application process, because this is kind of the important piece for you guys. So if you are interested, and hopefully you are, as we've been talking a little bit about this, it's pretty simple. You have to apply online through our online portal. You can definitely leave us resumes here, and we will absolutely look through those. But if you want to be considered, the best way directly is to apply online. You have to, at a minimum, attach a resume. But I will tell you, for especially some of the more artistic positions, they're going to want art reels, they're going to want demos. Potentially, they're going to want sample codes for some of the programming positions as well. So just read the job descriptions very carefully, because as I mentioned, each one is unique, and each hiring manager, even if the job title is the same, might be looking for 2 very different skill sets, or they might be asking you to include different things in your resume. So just make sure you take the time to really go through that. And the cover letter, if it's a position that requires a cover letter and it doesn't have one, we won't even consider it. You might be a really qualified candidate, but if we require a cover letter and you didn't submit one, we're going to go on to the next person. So as you guys can imagine, these are competitive roles. We get thousands of applicants for one role on occasion, and you really want to do everything you can. We were talking earlier about attention to detail. So if you don't read that job description and I asked for a sample code and you didn't include it, that probably means no matter how talented you are, I'm going to go on to the next resume. And we do look at every single application that comes in. We don't use an algorithm. My colleague and I, Catherine, read every single one that comes in. So take the time to make sure you're really putting your best foot forward. I should also say you can apply to multiple roles. So I'm hoping that's been kind of inferred from what I've said. But each position has its own hiring process. So if you have 3 or 4 roles that you really think you're interested in and that you think you're qualified for, absolutely apply to them. I would say any more than 5 to 7, and it starts to tell us maybe that you don't quite know exactly what you want to do. I have had candidates apply to over 50 roles. I don't know how successful they were. I will say I've seen some that applied to 15 or 20 and did end up getting a position. So I can't tell you that it means that you're not going to be considered. The hiring manager doesn't know how many roles you've applied for. We do as recruiters. So I see your application come up, and if I see 50 roles, I know that you probably just submitted a resume to everything you found, and that tells me that you really didn't take the time to customize it. You really don't know what you want to do. So just, it takes some time to go through all of these job descriptions and read them, but if this is really what you want to do, you really want to make sure you're customizing that application to fit with that role. Couple of quick logistics about it. So our positions are posted. We have interviews going on already. We just posted them within the last couple of weeks. And we will continue to interview until every position is filled. There is no deadline. We do everything on a rolling basis. So we will continue to interview. Ideally, we'll have this all finished up by April 1st. We'd like to have our last intern hired because our first start date is going to be the end of May. So you can apply at any time. You can go on tonight and apply. You could go on in 3 weeks and apply. And for some positions, like I mentioned, we're already hiring. And we're already recruiting, and we're already starting the interview process. Other hiring managers are a little bit backed up, a little bit busy right now, so they might not even start hiring until January. So if you don't hear from us in the next couple weeks, even the next 2 or 3 months, it doesn't mean that we're not considering you. It doesn't mean that we just haven't gotten around to probably looking at those resumes for that particular application. The interview process itself is a 2-round process. So the first round is going to be a phone interview, most likely with the hiring manager. It's 20 to 30 minutes, and we just want to make sure that you know what you've applied to and that you really have the interest in that role. So you guys would be surprised, and you probably hear this, but oftentimes students just apply to 50 to 100 roles, but they don't prepare for the interview, they don't know the company, and so they get to us and we're talking to them about the position, and it's like they didn't even read the same job description. So we just really want to make sure, is that the right fit? Does all of the eligibility work? And then tell us about yourself. Why are you interested in PlayStation? Why are you interested in this particular position? And then ideally that gets you to that second round. And the second round is usually a panel interview or a group interview with multiple members of that team. So each hiring manager does it a little bit differently. Some do everybody together at once and it's a 2-hour interview. Some do back-to-back 30-minute interviews. Some have technical questions, some do coding, some have you do they can decide what type of questions they want to ask, so we just tell you guys to be prepared for everything. And that will be via WebEx or Skype, some kind of video conferencing, because unfortunately we can't bring you guys out to California for the interview process. But those usually go within about 2 weeks of each other, and then we try to get the offers out as soon as we can after that. Another quick video.
When PlayStation called me, it was kind of a shock because I wasn't expecting anything, and all of a sudden they're like, hey, it's PlayStation and we're looking to hire you.
First day that I came here, I sat down with my manager and he asked me, what do you want to do? And that really surprised me because I think PlayStation really allows you to mold your experience as an intern to really have a say in what you want to do and make that meaningful for the company.
It's a lot of hard work, but I wouldn't say it is harder than I expected because there's a lot of support that you get from your managers. They've encouraged me to get in touch with as many people as I can to try and learn more about the company.
There's definitely a learning curve, as you will expect in any job, but the help and support from the HR staff and my team, I was able to adapt quickly.
Get as much experience outside of school as you can because they're really looking for stuff that you do that show that you really want to work.
Come with an open mind. You want to work hard, you want to showcase and run with what has been given to you.
Definitely be a gamer. Be into gaming. Everybody here is like a gamer. It's crazy.
I mean, it's more than amazing. The culture is just incredible. Everyone is extremely helpful and friendly. 2 weeks in, I already felt like I was part of the team over here. When you spend your lunch just talking to other people about work-related stuff, you realize that these people are not here because someone's forcing them to. They're not just doing it because it's their job, they're doing it because they love doing it.
We try to hang out and have lunch together to talk about our projects and our background and previous experiences. We truly are a PlayStation family.
I really look forward to knowing that the work that I do really does have an impact. I work in customer support, and knowing that I can make that a better experience for people is pretty amazing, actually.
I do user experience research, which means that we bring people in, real players, and have them play our games, and we try to pinpoint what problems they're having. It's great to see that the work that I'm doing is directly contributing to the success of the games.
I consider myself a better programmer for being here. I think I write more optimized and cleaner code. But there's also, for instance, just figuring out what happens on a daily basis in a AAA studio.
To get the opportunity to go to E3 as an organizer and to see the level of detail and planning that goes into organizing that event, and to actually learn from the best in the industry, I think that was a priceless moment for me.
I knew that PlayStation was going to give me the opportunity to really learn and grow. Interns are a very big part of PlayStation, and that they really do meaningful work that's going to actually contribute to the company, which would allow me that opportunity that I may not have gotten if I had gone somewhere else.
You get to work with talented people here at PlayStation, and you get to interact with a bright group of interns from everywhere across the country, and you learn as much from them as you learn from your team.
It's not often that one gets the opportunity to work on something that is going to define an industry going forward. It's not often that you get an opportunity to be a part of history.
People here are looking for proof that you're doing this above and beyond, that you're not just doing it because it's a school assignment.
Everyone at this company is really united in their purpose of making gaming great. It's not just like a company filled with people that want to make money or people that are just like in their day jobs. It's like people that really are passionate about gaming and really proud to be a part of PlayStation.
PlayStation.
Okay, so I know Mike talked a little bit about this, so I won't go into too much detail, but I do just kind of really want to emphasize the research in the company and the position. So as I mentioned, because they're all unique and they're all a little bit different, we want to make sure that you're not just sending the exact same resume, exact same cover letter to every position, and that you're really targeting your materials to fit with that job. So it's okay if you're applying to a variety of different roles, but make sure that you're then letting us know what are the skills that you're bringing, what is the experience, why are you interested in working in this position given what your background is or given what your history is. Differentiating yourself, I think that's a question that we always get, and I feel like that's something that you need to know. Yes, we look at your school, we look at what you studied, we look at what programming languages, what resources you can use, but what have you done that no one else that's applied for this role has done? So that can come from a class project, that can come from something you do outside of school, that can come from a past internship that you've had, but really help us understand what is it that you're bringing and how are you gonna make PlayStation better? What are you gonna bring that's different? What ideas do you have? Why is it that you want to work with us, and what is it that you hope to achieve? And I think that really helps us understand why you feel like you would be a good fit for that kind of a role. My best advice, so I used to work as a career counselor on the flip side, helping students put together materials, put together resumes. Print out the job description or have it right next to you. Go through and highlight the 2 or 3 things that really stand out to you. What is it that made you look at this job description? What is it that made you think you would be a good fit for that? And then tell me why. So give me examples. Don't just regurgitate the same thing that's on the job description, but go into detail and let me know what is it that you've achieved that helps me figure out what you'd be able to contribute to our company. Mike also touched a little bit on it, but the soft skills are important to us. So I think people think, oh, I'm just going to be sitting behind a computer all day, or I'm just going to be programming, or I'm just going to be doing, working on this one particular, aspect of the game. But we are a very big team player kind of company. So very rarely are you going to be siloed, kind of working independently all day. So we need to know that you're able to communicate well, that you're able to problem solve, that you're able to admit that you're wrong, that you're able to take that criticism and come back the next day and figure out what is it that I can do better to address those issues. So really thinking about what your communication skills are and presenting yourself in a professional way. So, Sadly, today's day and age, I will see cover letters that are one sentence long, and they think that just because it doesn't need to be as professional because we're a fun gaming company that they don't really need to take the time to create those materials, but we do take those things seriously. So make sure that there aren't any grammatical errors on it. Make sure that your resume and your cover letter are fitting with our company. I get cover letters all the time that are for Xbox, that are for Blizzard, that are for EA, and I read the first sentence and I'm like, all right, move on to the next one, because that attention to detail is clearly not there. And I get it, you guys are busy, you are applying to a lot of positions, but if you can't even take the time to switch the name of the company and the title of the position, probably means that we're not going to be the right fit for you. So again, just make sure that you're really thinking about all those other things that those application materials are saying about you. And again, just this team, working in teams, you guys have heard us say this multiple times, but we always are working together. We're always coming together and exchanging ideas and learning from each other. So help us know that this is something that you've done before and you guys are doing it in your classes. You've probably done it in previous jobs or previous internships, but make that very clear to us. I did want to touch briefly, are there some technical people in here that are going to be looking more at programming? And okay. A good handful of you. So I did want to touch on this because I know we talked a little bit about art submissions and art reels and portfolios. So for our technical positions, programming languages are very important. So each department, potentially each team, is going to be looking for a different programming languages they primarily use. So whether that's C++, Java, Python, make sure that you're letting us know what languages you're proficient in. And also, if you've done projects, you're going to include examples on there. Make sure that you're telling us what languages you're using within that. Very, very helpful to provide a working URL to your work. So a lot of times, the first thing a hiring manager does is click on that URL, and they want to immediately be taken to that. So make sure that it's working if you have it on there, and make sure that it's pretty prominent at that top of your resume so we can see that. The links that you put to these projects, they can be things that you've done personally, they can be projects that you've done in school. We just want to see examples of the work that you've done. So school projects, game demos, anything that really shows us the level of work that you're able to achieve. And if it's a group project, if it's a larger piece, make sure that you're telling us what you contributed. So really highlight your individual contribution so we know what aspect of that is really coming from you. If you received awards from previous schools, from Full Sail, from your undergrad, from a hackathon that you might have entered, those are things that we want to know. So we really like to see that you're interested in the gaming industry, that you want to be working in this field. And a lot of times I know for other kinds of jobs, maybe we're taking those off, but for us, absolutely, any awards or acknowledgements that you've received in this area, let us know about them. And some of the hiring managers specifically want to see sample code. So if that's GitHub, however you want to do it, just make sure that we have an easy way to be able to access that. And that might also be something that they ask for later on in the process. So it might not be that first round, but after that first phone interview or in preparation for the phone interview, that might be something that they're going to be asking for. Very short last video, and then I swear we're almost finished.
Who are you not to be great? You, with the imagination of a brilliant child and the powers of an ancient god. Who are you to be ordinary? You, who can rescind life or raise the dead. Who are you to be afraid? You, who can serve as judge and jury while hoarding infinite lives. And who are you to be a slave to the past? You, who can travel time like the oceans and rewrite history with a single word. Who are you to be anonymous? You, whose name should be spoken in reverent tones or in terrified whispers. And who are you to deny greatness? If you would deny to yourself, you deny to the entire world. And we will not be denied.
I always like that video. I don't really know exactly what it means, but I think it's a cool thing. The first time I saw that, I was like, am I supposed to get something from that? But I just think it shows a lot of the cool, interesting characters and things that we've done. So I put this up here. This was us at E3 this year, but our names, I realized they might be a little small. So Catherine LaRue and myself, we are the ones that you guys want to get in touch with. If you're interested specifically in any questions, the best way to do that is follow up with us on LinkedIn. So you're welcome to write our names down. You can ask me for it afterwards. But that's Catherine on your right. And then Diana, if you do interview with us, she's going to be the one that will be our recruiting coordinator. So you'll hear from her to set up a phone interview and potentially that final round interview. So this is kind of our university recruiting team. So I just wanted to give you guys an idea of who we are. And over there, I'm sorry it's so small, but PlayStationNetwork.com/careers. So you can always just Google PlayStation internships. That will take you to that page eventually. But PlayStationNetwork.com/careers is where you'll now see all of our positions posted, and we'll continue to see a couple more go up over the next couple weeks. So I'm going to ask Mike to come back up because we are going to open it up for Q&A, but I want to do the raffle now because I know some people might have to leave. And if you're here, I want to make sure you at least got that. And then we'll open it up for questions. So I think you guys, if you want to, are able to come up and ask questions that way. You want to pull the lucky winner?
I get to do it?
You do.
Sweet.
Okay.
2337506.
06?
We have a winner.
Yay! Congratulations. Come up.
So I have to ask, do you have a PlayStation already? Do you have a PS4?
Should we do it again?
You can do what you want with it.
What's your name? Jesse. Jesse, congratulations. Thanks so much. There you go.
If you don't mind sticking around after, can we take a quick picture?
Yeah.
We do like to at least promote the
There you go. It matches.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right, so we'll open it up for questions now. If anyone has anything we didn't address or any questions you want to know about PlayStation, about the work that we do, we'll let you guys. I think it's easier if you guys want to come up instead of raising your hands to the two mics that are up front, if that's okay. All right, we'll start over here.
Oh, hello, test. All right. So, can you guys hear?
Yeah.
Does this work anymore? No?
No,
If I don't have to work
it off. Yeah, we'll
Okay.
just answer it this way.
Cool.
Good?
Yeah.
My question is, I was actually looking on the PlayStation careers site, and I didn't see anything that was related to my field. Is there going to be more stuff added, or is what's up there what's going to be up there?
Yep, so right now it's about 75% are up there. So there are still, I would say, another 30 to 40 positions that are going to be added.
Okay.
What is your field?
I'm in audio. I would love
Yes,
to do sound
last
design.
year we did have 2. I know that's very small, but we did have 2 audio sound design interns. So just keep looking. I don't think that they have been posted yet, and I believe we should have at least one coming out for the summer.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll go back and forth. Sorry.
Hello.
I know.
Yeah, my question was actually, considering that we're talking a lot about cover letters and stuff, do you have a particular format or things that you like to see in a cover letter to really tell you paying attention would be good for the position?
Yeah. So that's a good question. In that opening I'm not so big on the formality of it. I don't care if you have like our name and our address and the date, whatever. I'm really more looking at the content.
It'd be a little creepy if we had your address, really.
Sorry, thank you. Well, our company address, I should say. Some people do address their cover letters to me individually, which sometimes is a little creepy, but I respect that you did your research. The most important thing, that first paragraph, tell me who you are, where you're going to school, what you're studying, and what position you're applying to. Because we get a ton of applicants that aren't even eligible. They're not enrolled in school, they're not, they don't fit the requirements. So in that opening paragraph, let me know that. Tell me why PlayStation. Tell me why you're interested in working with us. Tell me what games you're playing. Tell me why you're interested in the gaming industry. But then I want to see that you've read the job description, and I want to see those 2 or 3 things that you're highlighting. So whether it's a programming language that you're proficient in and you're giving me examples of that, whether it's an example of if it says they want someone good communication skills and a team player, I want to see specific examples of that. So don't just tell me the same things I see on your resume. I'm going to read your resume first, and then I'm going to go and I want to learn more about you from that cover letter.
Understood. Thank you very much.
Mike,
over here.
Hello? Okay.
There we go.
So I have two. They're really quick. Mike, earlier you were talking about how having a little bit of programming knowledge would be smart, even if it's not C++. What would the other languages be?
Ultimately, I think what's mainly important is understand the concepts. If you know MelScript, if you're an artist, that's good. Python, I would say Python probably next to C++ or C is probably the next most valuable thing. Most tools that we use out of Maya are Python. So that's what I would say is probably best. Cool?
Okay.
But any programming knowledge at all from an artist perspective is going to be seen as a plus.
Okay.
Cool?
And my second question was, after your application is looked at, will you get an email back whether you were accepted or not?
Yes. So you'll get an initial acknowledgement of we've received your application materials, but then after we actually go through, you will receive either you've been invited to interview with us, or sorry, we're going with somebody else, kind of a thing. So you'll hear from us one way or the other for every position.
Okay, thank you.
Well, my question is, I don't know if either of you worked on the Lost Legacy, but I was wondering, what was it like making such a good game in only 1 year span of time? Because I heard it was originally supposed to be DLC, but it turned into its own game. What was it like making such an amazing game in 1 year?
Great. It was great to make an game. It's always great to make an amazing game. It's much harder in 1 year. Much harder. I would highly not recommend it, but we will do it sometimes. I'm glad you liked it and you thought it was great.
Yes.
Thank you for playing it.
Hi. Okay, I wrote this down. So I saw that game art, technical art were available internships. Would like character or hard surface modeling fall under these categories? Is that something PlayStation is looking to hire?
Definitely, at least in my group for sure, but I would imagine honestly in most of the game studios are going to have character art. What else did you say? Hard surface modeling? Absolutely. So that should be, I would encourage you to apply for those things and be specific, saying these are your focus.
Right.
Very, very good things to have. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I was wondering, I noticed that there weren't any writer type positions up there. I didn't know if you had any available or upcoming.
What type of positions?
Like writer?
Oh,
type?
writer. There actually is one right now that I've had a really hard time finding a good fit for. Of course, I'm not going to be able to remember the exact name of it, but yes. So usually we have a select number, I would say like around 2 to 3, but we do have one posted now and there might be 1 or 2 more coming.
Do you happen to know the location?
That one that I'm looking for right now, I believe is in San Mateo.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Matt. Actually, I have 2 questions. One, Mike, can you put your email back up there?
Sure. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I don't mind. What was question 2?
Question 2. He sort of asked it already, but I'm also a creative writer. I'm getting my BFA here. Do you know of any, would there be any positions available that, you could, start there and then, I don't know, meet other people who are we could really use this, a writer or something real quick for this thing, and you're like, yo, I gotcha, or anything like that. Because I can do some of the jobs that you listed, but creative writing is one of those odd things where it's like, yeah, we don't really need it. Nobody really needs any of those at this time.
Are you talking about creative writing like script writing for?
Any kind of writing, like story concept, character design, script, and yes, script writing, because a lot of cutscenes in games have a lot to do with knowing movies and such.
The only thing I'll tell you about the writing is there's not a lot of those positions. So it gets a bit more challenging because there aren't 30 writers on staff at most 2 to 4 maybe. So it's going to be a little bit harder in terms of opportunities, and mostly the writing stuff is probably going to be hired pretty experienced writers, but it's still worth, I would recommend going through the intern. I would like intern, get into a studio and then show your skills that way. Certainly there's also the technical writing stuff too that can be really helpful. It's not sort of my forte, so I don't have a lot.
Yeah, so we have a hard time finding technical writers. Like there's 2 positions right now. We're looking at technical writing programs that aren't even degrees in that, but just schools that have good programs kind of within it. So if that's an area that you could excel in, and maybe, you know, as you mentioned, starting somewhere, and then, you know, as you get more experience and get to know companies, there's always a lot more opportunity to jump around. And that is something that we see. So there are people that have been with us for 10, 15, 20 years, and they've worked in different departments. Because if you kind of build your credit and build your trust there and they really want to keep you, they'll find places to do that.
Great. Thank you very much.
Cool.
Hi. I'm also a writer, and
I see a theme going on here.
I was wondering what other skills I would need to like put on a resume or recommended, like other areas.
What other areas of interest do you have?
I like editing videos.
That's a good one.
I have a lot of skill in the Adobe Creative Cloud.
Yeah, so I would definitely use those as opportunities on the way in. Editing is always good, and there's probably a lot more opportunities for editors than there are for writers. Not to discourage you, but I'm saying multiply your opportunities as long as you have the right passion and skill set and time to be able to get, show your best work. But yeah, I think those, I would focus on those for sure, and writing. I would do both.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Nicole Loud. I'm a master's student here at Full Sail, and I just have a couple questions. So one specifically is, if I just started here 3 months ago, would you guys recommend that you have a more completed portfolio and go through the program at Full Sail to then apply to this program with a completed portfolio? I'll graduate in August of next year, as opposed to applying now, whereas I just started officially doing serious game art for my master's program. That's the first question.
Well, I guess my question for you, because I know Full Sail's a little different, you can't take 12 weeks off over the summer, this upcoming summer, right?
Well, that's the thing. As a master's student, I can choose, if I were accepted, I can possibly talk to the professors and choose to do the internship as my capstone project. And that would require correspondence from you guys and
right.
grading
Okay.
technically. So it's possible.
Okay. So you might get a different answer from us, from different people you ask. I actually think it's better, I would say apply now and then apply again, because as a master's student, you probably are already coming in with a good amount of experience and some education and some skills behind you. And if you get the opportunity, I mean, of course, I would say never turn down an internship at PlayStation, because I think that's only going to bolster your resume and your experience more. But if you don't get it because you're feeling like maybe I didn't quite meet all those requirements, or I wasn't as excelled in certain areas as I wanted to be, then you can absolutely apply again next year and then come, as a graduate.
Perfect. And then second question, if the main reason I'm here is because of Journey and that game company, are there internships for that game company?
So, okay.
No, you go ahead.
Well, so I was going to say, I mean, people ask us about interns. So we only are in those locations that I had posted up there for PlayStation specifically. So there are internships, I believe, at a lot of these other...
Santa Monica Studios, I know the company that works with them also works with Santa Monica. That's
Yeah, so we have about 30, let's see, last year we had 16 interns in Santa Monica Studios.
Okay.
So just one thing. So there are, and this can get a little confusing, but there's Worldwide Studios those are PlayStation internal studios. That game company is an external studio. It was an incubation, and ultimately they're a separate company. So they may actually have internships through them. So what you would want to do is potentially, I would do both. right? You won't necessarily get an internship from PlayStation for that game company, but you might get an internship at PlayStation.
Santa Monica Studios makes me happy, honestly.
Yeah, so do that too. But you could also, like I said, I would encourage you to go to that game company's website and see if they are taking internships.
Okay,
Cool.
perfect. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Hello? There we go. That last video showed there was a lot of compositing and VFX in it, and I was wondering, do you guys do a lot of video VFX compositing job openings?
In my group, no, but there are several groups throughout PlayStation that do compositing and visual effects. So that video, all the videos that Rebecca showed, were all done internally. Except for maybe that one last one may not have, but the rest of them are mostly done internally. So yes, there are a lot of video editing groups, and there should be video editing or effects or compositing or lighting opportunities. So I would definitely put your resume in.
Do you have a visual effects studios holding?
Holding?
Just do you have visual effects studios?
Do we have visual effects studios? I'm not sure what you mean.
Just visual effects studios that more specialize in video effects.
Not specifically, just departments within the company that focus on those. And they're probably 20 to 30 people, the group size.
Okay.
All right? Yeah.
Hello. All right. My name is Jordan. I'm a film major, so I like being behind the camera and on set. Do you guys have any camera operation, boom operation, or making the set internships?
Again, I think that would be, if there is going to be that, is most likely in those kind of video editing groups, the same kind of thing as well. There may be. We do have video operators and camera operators in those departments, so it's certainly worth putting your resume in.
Okay. And do you think you could tell us when we're getting the next trailer for The Last of Us Part 2?
No. But it'll be good. I can promise you that.
Make sure this works. All right. Good evening. My name is Josh. I'm here for my master's in game design. I have 2 previous degrees in video game design. I wanted to see how would a producer go about like sending in his portfolio, because, well, I do have a portfolio for all my game assets that I've created back at the Art Institute. But for like a producer, how would I actually go about to apply for that position, more or less? If that makes any sense.
Producer position, yeah.
So you're saying you have a portfolio?
Yes.
Like an art portfolio?
Yes.
But you're applying for a producer position?
Yes, because I have worked in groups. I have worked for an internship with a yacht company, but as of this moment, I'm actually part of the producer capstone track.
Right, so if your desire is to be on the production side, I don't think the art portfolio is necessary. I would leave that to Rebecca, but I'm not sure that on production that they would ask for art portfolios. They probably would expect you not to have that. So I don't know that I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it might be slightly confusing too.
Yeah,
right?
Because I do plan on becoming a creative director one day.
All right then.
So
Good
that's
luck.
kinda-
Yeah, that's awesome.
And a second question. Do you want my business card? It's super fancy.
Sure.
See, he's doing the networking already. He's clearly taking us at our word for that.
My name is Tay, and I just have one question. Is Crash Bandicoot coming back? Are y'all rebooting it?
It just did, man. Didn't you play it?
Like new games.
I don't know. You got to talk to Activision. That's an Activision game.
Okay.
Good evening. So first and foremost, really appreciate you putting on this event for us. It's really awesome. My question is, because I just started in the degree program here for programming, you mentioned that you were taking students that are already or enrolled here at Full Sail or graduated recently. How far in would you prefer the students who are applying to be in the degree programs? Like for me, I just started. I'm pretty fresh in. I do want to apply early, but I feel like I wouldn't be obviously capable to take on an internship. So should I apply now, try later, and then try during graduation, or what would you prefer?
So if you know you're not ready to take on the internship yet, or just not feasible for you to kind of take that 12-week program, I would say wait until you know that following summer you would be able to. I mean, we have freshmen every year that are a part of our intern program. So we recruit freshmen all the way through PhD students and, recent alums. But I would say if you're still feeling pretty green and you're not quite confident in a lot of those areas, and you're also not kind of ready to really take that internship, I would probably wait until next year. So I would, starting this same time next year, knowing you're going to be graduating, potentially within that following summer, I would probably wait about a year, build up that resume and experience, and then we will post early September every year. And so just wait for that, September 2018 timeframe.
Awesome, cool, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this on? Hey, it is. Okay. First things first. Name's Nicholas Hatcher, and depending on where that camera's going, I guess. I don't know where the feed is, but hi, Mom. First things first, you guys did amazing up there. That was a great presentation. I loved it.
Thank you.
First question is, where, is the presentation itself, like the PowerPoint, if it is a PowerPoint, available to the public possibly at all? No?
Unfortunately, no, we can't share that stuff externally.
Darn. Okay. But second question. Seeing as you've given a lot of tips and stuff for resumes and so on, what would you, I know seeing as everyone knows it now, a lot of the resumes are going to seem similar now too, because you've given the tips. I know this might defeat the purpose, but are there any other kind of tips, specifically throw in this to stand out, throw in that to show a bit of personality in your own resume?
So we see a lot of resumes, and I will say the ones that look visually different to me do stand out. So there's a lot of templates out there, and it's not a bad thing. You can go to Microsoft Word and use a template, and as long as you're putting the main information we need out there, that's important. But the ones that are using different fonts or that are having their own designs on there or have their own, you guys are much more creative than I am, and so to me, those things immediately stand out to me. So I kind of take that second look. And I would say the other thing is, the love for gaming and just game design and being in this industry, I want to see that come out. So whether that's through, kind of even that, I always read that section at the bottom. I know sometimes people tell you don't put the skills and interests or hobbies. I like it because sometimes that's actually what catches my attention first. And we've had some really interesting people apply, and they might have gotten that second look because there was something on there that was just very unique to just them. So, I mean, I've had people tell me they're, connoisseurs in sandwich making, and that doesn't mean anything about anything, but I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny, and that just makes me then want to take a second look at their resume. So I'm not saying go out there and put something inappropriate on there, but something that's going to stand out in that way. But I do think the visually appealing is, at least just because sometimes I look at hundreds and hundreds over a couple of hours, and so if there's something that just jumps out at me, that's going to stand out. I don't know if you have.
No, I think that's good. Okay then. So thanks.
Cool. Yeah.
Hello. I'm Zachary Yarnot, and as a student in a 20-month program, I see a lot of internships ask for a second-year student. Should I be concerned that I won't be taken seriously or will not be accepted simply because I will actually have the 2 years?
No. Okay. I mean, I'm not exaggerating when I say we have some freshmen every year, and we have some people that have zero work experience, but for whatever reason, that hiring manager loved what they saw on the resume. So we won't see that you're a first year and automatically, go on to the next person. If you meet those requirements and we're interested in talking to you, then absolutely we'll follow through with that.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Sherwood. I'm graduating this Friday from the computer animation program.
Congratulations.
What international language would be the most useful to you guys?
Any.
Any?
I think all languages. Japanese is good. If
you have Japanese, that's super awesome.
What about French? Because I hear a lot of companies are moving towards
French
Canada.
is, yeah, can't hurt. There's not a ton of interaction from a development perspective other than from French developers, so it's not probably as useful as Japanese. Another one, maybe Mandarin, Cantonese. There's a lot of like work overseas that we're doing there. That's also good.
Okay. And
Okay.
Michael, do you have room for another business card?
Sure, yeah.
All right.
Hit me.
I really wish I had brought mine now. I am actually graduating next month from the music composition course through music production, focusing on game audio. A gentleman up at the front asked about audio as in like all sound implementation. Are there internships specifically for the music?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Excellent.
not, again, 30 programming positions, but
Right.
usually one or two. I don't know if they've been posted yet. If not, keep an eye out because we still have about another 30 going up over the next few weeks.
Excellent. And to piggyback on his question was, what about Persian Farsi as a language?
So I think if you speak more than one language, that's going to be an asset to us probably no matter what. Persian Farsi, I don't specifically know of any hiring managers that
Unless
are
you
looking
have
for that.
a secret Sony studio in Iran somewhere, I doubt it.
That I don't know about.
But just putting it out there.
If it helps you learn Japanese, that's great.
Excellent. Thank you.
You've seen a trend here.
Good evening. My name is Lucas Lamonica. I was looking around at the various internships on the website last night. I'm a student in game design. I believe in month 14 I should be graduating in May. Are there any game design specific internships that you would personally recommend that I take a look at? And me and many others, of course.
I'm pretty sure there are 3 that are specifically titled game design intern, so I would look at those first. But honestly, because you probably have skills that can be applied to a variety of them, you staying away from all of the straight kind of programming, more technical ones. Magic Lab intern is a very cool position, so that's different every year. But really, that hiring manager is looking for someone who's interested in exploring different kinds of new technologies that are out there and how they can impact games.
One thing I would say too is, don't exclude yourself from other internships that you might be capable of doing just because there's one specific area you would like to be in, because being inside and being connected can ultimately lead to other areas that you want to get into. The hardest thing is just getting inside.
I see. I mean, I know I also have associates in film from a previous college. Are there any specific internships recommended for something like that too? Just so that I could potentially apply for as many as I possibly can.
Well, one thing I would say is I wouldn't apply for as many as you possibly can.
Well,
I mean, when I say you can apply for multiple, and I do encourage you to, I usually mean in the realm of like 3 to 4, maybe 5. I don't mean like 10 to 12. So within game design, there are going to be enough within specifically game design, I think, that probably still fit that. But one of the things Mike said is if you are looking at job descriptions and you meet 75% of those requirements and it's something you're interested in, I would still encourage you to apply to those. You do not have to meet 100% of those requirements. I mean, that's what our preferred ideal candidate is. But if you're seeing things on there that you have the skill set and experience for, even if it's from a previous degree, and it's a way to get into the program and it's a way to get into PlayStation, I would definitely still apply for those.
All right. Well, thank you. Have a good evening then.
Thank you. Hi.
Oh, me. I'm sorry. Okay, it'll make sense in a second. So my name is Paul Kane. I'm a grad student here at Full Sail. As a bit of a precursor to my questions, I am hard of hearing, so I've been following along on the meeting on my phone. I have a transcriptionist, and so that being said, 2 questions for you. primarily, I looked over some of the internships as other people have done, and I'm wondering what kind of advice that you guys might have for me, particularly in the scope of good communication. What kind of advice you would have for someone like me, aka hearing impaired, in applying for internships and subsequently getting those internships?
So I would say, for me, something that comes across strongly in a cover letter is that personal story about potentially challenges that you faced and how you've overcome them and why that makes you an even more qualified candidate. So if it's something you're comfortable really kind of wanting to put out there and address and you know, let that hiring manager know from the get-go, I would absolutely say, you know, you're obviously here and you're getting this degree and you're succeeding, and so you've done everything you needed to do to get to this point. So I would say, you know, maybe telling a little bit about that story, but I don't see it as something that's going to inhibit, you know, you going through the interview and application and interview process. If there's any kind of special accommodations we need to make on our end in terms of the interviews themselves, phone interviews, Skype interviews, those are absolutely things that we, you know, are doing all the time and want to make sure we continue to do. So just letting us know what we need to do to make it a better process for you.
That makes sense. Second question for you then. Can I give you guys a copy of my resume?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll grab it.
Get him in a hand clap, guys.
Hey.
Yes, so my name is Lauren. I'm also in the audio production program. And I saw, like, it said audio and sound design. Now, just like piggybacking off the gentleman before, I do mainly game sounds and I do production-wise. In my portfolio, my resume, can I show, like, things I've done in the industry music-wise? Like, I've composed this song or I've done sound effects for this game. Would that be the highest suggestion in our portfolios?
Showing what the work you've done?
Yes.
For an internship?
Yes.
Rebecca, it's okay to show the work you've done professionally if you've done professionally, even if you're for an internship, right? Yeah, I would encourage it. I think that's definitely going to help you stand out.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is, I know same thing with PlayStation/careers. I mean, like, if you're applying for something, is that applying towards the internship, or is it mainly like somewhere else you have to go to when it comes to applying for an internship?
I would ask Rebecca that.
Okay.
I'm going to move over
because
here
I mean,
toward her.
a lot of people will probably be wondering that because, hey, we apply for a job, but like if the internship as well, that'd be helpful for them also.
Yes. Can you repeat that question?
So I know where it says PlayStation Careers, if you're applying for a job, yes, but when it comes to applying for the actual internship, is that same thing applying for the field that you're going into? Like, is there a certain location you do it?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So for each of the positions that are listed, it will have the location of it. So it'll specifically say San Mateo, California, San Diego, California. So it's broken down. It's actually, I don't even think it's broken into technical, non-technical. Just under the internships kind of tab, they're all listed there, but then each one has its own specific location. And then as you click into it, you can read the full job description.
Thank you. And one last question, mainly for my girlfriend, since we both work here at Full Sail. She's in creative writing, and she does a lot of proofreading. Now, I know for the writers and script writers, do you have a lot of people that you generally do for proofreading, like make sure the script comes out, you know, grammar-wise for the actual actors and stuff like that?
So the only intern position I can think of that's somewhat related to is the product documentation intern, but that's not quite in sort of the script writing area. That's more internal communications and editing and proofing for things like that.
Okay.
But again, could be a good place to start. And then potentially moving into other areas where we're looking for maybe some more experienced writers.
Okay. And last thing, I don't have a business card, but if you guys are in Florida, November 2 the 17th through the 18th, I'm hosting a Street Fighter convention fighting tournament. So if you guys want to attend that, by all means, come and see me.
That'd be awesome, but you'd kick my butt, so I probably won't attend that.
Well, actually, I'm doing all versions of Street Fighter. So Street Fighter 2,
right.
Champion, and all the way down to 5. So it's
That's
a historical event.
I wish I could be there. Unfortunately, I'll be there in spirit, but thank you for hosting that.
No problem.
That's super cool. Yeah, put it on your resume.
Sorry, yeah, I actually have a few things. I'm trying to get into actual video game tournament hosting, and I broadcast for esports as well.
Yeah, put all that on there.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Cool.
Hello. First question. Why did you guys choose Sony?
Wait, me?
Yeah.
Me or Rebecca? Why did I? So I've been with Sony forever. Really, it feels like it. I love what this company represents. For me, it's always that it strives to be the best in whatever it does. And for me, even when I was younger, whether that meant the Sony televisions, all the TVs I wanted were Sony TVs. And when PlayStation 1 came out, I was floored, honestly. Like when there was a dinosaur demo just after Jurassic Park had come out in real time. And ultimately, it's a game-changing company. It is always basically taking risks and pushing the industry forward. And it represents a lot of the stuff I personally love. So.
All right, and my second question is more towards the level design intern. You guys mentioned that they are working with the level designers and the combat designers. How hands-on is the intern working with them?
Very hands-on. So, I mean, when the intern comes in, there's obviously that learning curve period, and we're not just going to throw you into things that you don't feel prepared for, that you're not quite ready to do. But I think the goal of every hiring manager and every team is to really fully embrace having that intern there and make them feel like they're contributing just as much as any other team member is. So I always say whatever the team is working on for that summer and that project, that's what you're going to be a part of.
Okay. I have a resume too, as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my name is Cameron Torrance, and I'm in the game dev program. Now I have two questions. Piggybacking off of his first question, I wanted to ask, since you worked at Sony for a long time, or PlayStation in general, what about it makes you want to keep going back to work every day?
Are you kidding? We make the, honestly, no exaggeration, this is not me sort of, towing the company line. The games that I play personally, and I love games, but the games that I play the most are the ones that we make. I mean, we just have the best games, in my opinion. I mean, I love story-driven, narrative-driven games. EA disappointingly cut one of my favorite, future hopeful games because they didn't think that there's an audience for narrative-driven single-player games. I disagree with them. So ultimately, still, we're serving the people that that speak to me. So. Is that in reference to Star Wars? Maybe. Yeah.
And one more question. I'm not I try to do everything I can around video games because it's honestly a thing I love. So usually I'll probably go along with trying to make a game or making music or messing around with RPG Maker. What would you say would that's something that PlayStation would be looking for within the realm of that?
I'm going to pass that to Rebecca.
You mean just kind of what type of position would be good for someone who has your sort of passion or just wanting to play games?
A little bit of both.
I mean, I think depending on, specifically what you're studying and what your skill set is, working for PlayStation or probably any gaming company is going to be the right environment for you. So when there's a variety of positions I would say probably meet a lot of what your skill set is. We want people that love to play games. So as a company, I would say we're going to be a good environment for you to work in, and probably any gaming company is. But it's kind of a balance between, your work life and your home life. And I think for a lot of us, people work all day on games and developing and designing, and then they go home and they continue to play games. So if that sounds like something that you want to do and that's kind of your life, then this is probably the right place for you. And any way you can get in, so any internship that really fits with what your skills and experience are, then submit.
All right, thank you.
See, I knew she'd have the right answer.
We can take two more questions. I'm sorry. I know you guys have been around and waiting in line, but that was what we were just told, so we'll go one more on each side.
Okay, thanks. My name is Francisco. Nice to meet you. I'm a writer too, but I'm not going to ask you about writing positions, so don't worry. My question is, I'm from Argentina, and I don't know how do you manage with interns from other countries
Yep.
With the visa, no, I can. It's like.
So you want an F1 visa?
I don't have one yet, but I will apply for a J1. I don't know
For a
for,
J-
for
okay.
interns.
Yeah, so as long as so we have a lot of international students just
Okay, great.
through our intern program, and as long as you're sponsored by your university, so if you're currently enrolled in school here,
Yes.
it's not a problem for us. So we, as students, typically use CPT or OPT, but we work with your school to make sure you get all the paperwork and documentation on time. And for full-time offers, we enter you in the H-1B lottery. So being an international student, as long as you're currently enrolled in a U.S. school, is not an issue for us.
I'm going to graduate in next November, so after graduating is like a problem.
As long as so you should be able to use OPT for up to 18 or 24 months after. So we still have international students that have graduated that are still interning with us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Can I give you my resume?
Yes.
Wait, sorry. Hi again. I have two questions. One of them, well, actually both of them. Two people already kind of touched up on them before, and I have this question for you, Michael. Someone asked about the 3D art, like so like hard surface modeling, character modeling. I also I do both of those, and I also I don't know if I mentioned it earlier when you were in our class, but I also want to focus on like creatures or animals and stuff like that. Would that also be in that category of characters? And
Yeah, absolutely.
Just that degree.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, Santa Monica would be a really good fit for that, right? They're
Okay.
huge God of Wars, lots of creatures.
Yes.
So that's the place I would look to for that specifically.
Okay.
But
and sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And my second question, someone again asked about it earlier too, but overseas, I know you mentioned it's a plus knowing Japanese, and I know basic Japanese. I've been studying for the past few months because I would like to also internship at some point once I feel ready, once I feel like I'm able to. I've been to Japan before, and I would like to work there if possible. So that's one of the reasons why I'm studying, and I just wanted to know, if people people who have been in your internship, the PlayStation University, have you had people who were in there who eventually went overseas to different countries?
I'm sure it's happened. I'm sure it's happened, not necessarily in the via the internship, but ultimately somebody that there are many people in my building who have started as interns,
Yes.
who have progressed through career and, have absolutely had opportunities to go overseas. I can't tell you there's a specific pathway, but ultimately, being valuable in as many areas as you can only benefits you when you get inside. So, get inside, and then if you continue to progress on your second language, Japanese, that's going to become useful. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. And unfortunately, I didn't have my resume because I didn't know this was happening today. But if I wanted to, I'll send my resume, and I don't have a portfolio set up right now, but I know you mentioned earlier that we don't have to apply right now, and we have until April, you said?
We accept applications on a rolling basis. So
Yeah.
we'll continue to interview through April, but the earlier you apply, the better, because we review applications as they come in. So you don't have to apply today, but a couple positions might even be filled by November and December. So you just want to make sure that you're applying not too late. But again, some aren't even going to start reviewing until January. So if they're still posted on our website, it means they haven't been filled yet.
Okay. I just wanted to know that because I want to make sure I have enough time to set one up, because I'm really interested in the in your department. So good. So thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks.
All right, thank you guys so much for sticking around. I know it's late and you've probably been here, hopefully you got some pizza, but we really appreciate just Full Sail, rolling out the red carpet for us and letting us speak to you, and we hope we see your applications coming in.